Welcome into another episode of the Gridiron Grind. Grida 3, Jimmy G, off a winning week. Hot, hot, hot.
Yeah,
As they
hot.
say.
Not as not as well picked as you, but I
5 and
was in
0,
the
dude.
plus.
I'm
I was
hot.
watching it. I was following along because I bet, and I was going, man, that one hit, that one hit, that one hit. I was going, is he gonna go 5-0?
5 and
Thought
0.
North Carolina may get you, but then Clemson pulled it
No,
out.
I was worried about that one. The Utah one was a no-brainer after the first
Oh
start of
yeah,
the game.
dude, that
Kansas
one
State
rocking chair.
was in
Loved it.
Kansas State was in control the whole game. Max
Hmm.
Duggan did try to, and if they give the ball to Duggan on third or fourth down there in overtime, I mean, dance with the guy who brung you there, Sonny.
Dude,
Max Duggan went all out. You don't give him the ball on third and fourth down, and
I mean, literally the guy, not like the figuratively always been or go all season, the guy who physically got you down there.
exactly.
Physically got you down there. I know he threw a pick in the end zone. You and I talked about this, called each other. Couldn't believe we both said the
Yeah,
same thing. Give him a
crazy.
chance. You got to
Give,
put it in his hands.
yeah, let him make the decision for you.
You hand it off twice, although I do think they got in. I think when they reached over, I think they kind of got screwed on that, but
Yeah,
it,
I
it
think
would
he
have
might have
never
been
after the fumble. I'm not handing you the ball. I'm not giving you the ball again. You're lucky to get the ball back.
exactly
It's
because
Max
that was
Duggan.
a fumble.
Duggan, you've led us the entire season, literally led us down the field, or excuse me, literally ran us down the field. I'm giving you Duggan. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm
I
with you.
just, you know,
And then Fresno State, that was easy. Second half,
mm-hmm.
Georgia, second half easy, and then Clemson. Exactly what I said was going to happen. Dabo was not going to let Ukulele lose him that ACC championship. He was going to go to Klubnik. He did.
Best
Title,
quarterback's been on the bench all year, Dabo.
yeah, title game MVP. If he plays and they don't lose South Carolina and Klubnik's playing and they beat them, they might be in instead of Ohio State.
Yeah, there's a very real possibility, especially with that ACC win. Yeah, well, you went with ukulele. You know, again, I'm not a coach. Neither of us are coaches, but the guy never impressed me. To me, it was always
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get him. We really want his brother. Brother's like a
Yeah,
five
so
star
I guess
DN.
that basically
So I guess,
eliminates his brother's like the top or second edge rusher in the country.
yeah. I always thought playing ukulele, the quarterback was just a ploy to get ukulele, the uh, defensive end.
Yeah,
Well, now that ship sailed because ukulele's figured out that, yeah, turns out I'm not that good. So I'm going to go try to be not that good somewhere else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how that plays out. So yeah, 5-0 for me, 3-2 for Jimmy. 80% is the show. Back, we had a couple like losing weeks. Back at it last week. 8-2
Yeah.
as a show. Um,
Pretty good.
yeah, pretty good. We'll start with the Cowboys. Cowboys just routed the Colts, even though it was a close game. Start of the fourth quarter. 33 points, fourth quarter, forced 5 turnovers. This defense reminds me of a shark smelling blood in the water. When they smell that blood, baby, I mean, they're coming. They are pinning their ears back, sacks, interceptions. Um, Deron Bland, is that his? Bland's his last name. I forget his first name. The corner, they had
Oh, yeah,
two
yeah. You're
picks.
right.
What a play!
Former
Stepped in.
Colt, too, by the way.
Yeah. Malik Hooker, yeah, revenge
Yeah.
game against the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a fourth quarter. Cowboys ended with an exclamation point.
33 in the fourth. And you're right, man. The defense, and it's this way for a lot of teams, but um, Cowboys seem to do it. Cowboys seem to really get after it. It's one of those you always hear coaches and players say, yeah, in the fourth quarter, we just owned them, or the second half, or whatever, we just owned them. But really, it's like in the fourth quarter, we're able to run the ball. And you talk to the offensive linemen, and they're like, yeah, it was like I was just running off straight adrenaline. I
Yeah.
wasn't tired at all. Same with defense when it's just going, defense able to pin their ears back. It's like everything else stops. It goes down to slow motion. And these guys aren't tired, and they looked full speed the entire game, really. And especially in that fourth quarter when things started rolling, it was like everything they did went right. So it was beautiful. I loved it.
It was beautiful. It was like a beautiful painting. Just beautiful to sit there and watch.
It
Um,
amazing. And now if you're the Texans, you get to watch that
what
and
is
go,
Sunday gonna look like? It's the
You know,
biggest spread of the NFL season. Cowboys are favored by 16 and a half. I mean, what is that going to look like?
I hope it looks like a cover by Dallas because it's a team that we should
That's what I'm
thump.
saying.
And
This
this
is
is
a
one of
those
those,
kind of games. As a player, you hate playing these games because you're supposed to dominate them. Anything
mhm,
short of dominate, like winning, is not enough. People
right.
are going to talk bad about you if you win by a touchdown.
Yeah, if we win this thing, if we have to do what Brady had to do against the Saints,
Exactly. Like
Monday morning, we are just
a win would be
terrible.
better than a loss, but
And
people are going to rag on it regardless. And
yeah,
so
if
it's
you
like,
don't blow them out, if we don't repeat what we did to the Colts, you're exactly right because the Texans are bad.
and they're not, and they're
They do have
tanking.
a good running back, but
Yeah, but
that's about
they're also kind of tanking. They want that number one overall pick.
it. Yeah,
So
perfect. Well, you know what? Nothing like, why don't you take the 17 then?
yeah. So I mean, Sunday could be bad for the Texans. Hopefully the Cowboys don't let up. Noon game at home.
I'll be at the game, so I'm
Oh, you're going? Sweet.
hoping it's a good game. Yeah,
Yeah.
pick this one. I try to pick a game like Arkansas. I try to go to one game that I'm for sure going to win, and people go, "Well, oh well, Alabama's in Fayetteville this year." I'm like, "Yeah, but why would I want to go to that? Not only do I pay money, and then we lose. No, of
Hey, listen.
course I went to Liberty, which didn't help
Yeah.
much, but yeah, I picked this game out at the beginning of the year.
Losing
Uh,
at home is the
it's
worst.
terrible,
Uh, so I
terrible.
went to Texas had 7 home games this year. I went to 5 of them. We were 3-2 in those two. The two losses were Alabama was a 1 point loss. Wasn't that
Hmm.
big a deal because it was kind of like at that time not a lot of people thought much of Texas, so keep it close. Alabama was they were glad they won, but they weren't saying
Hmm.
much. You know, they were just
Yeah,
happy to escape Austin. So it wasn't that bad. But then the TCU loss, it was the worst. It's the worst
yeah, it's
because
terrible.
they were acting a fool. Their fans leaving the stadium acting a fool. No, I mean nothing against them. They were a huge game and they won it. And all us Texas fans, we just had to take it. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Just had to
Yeah,
listen to them.
and
Just massive people trying to exit the stadium, and they're hooping, and it's just the worst. Losing at home is the
yeah,
worst.
it's awful. And then you go to a away game, you risk getting beat up or something. But yeah,
Yeah. Or
I
when
hate paying money
we went to
going to a
Arkansas
game.
last year, I'd never been flipped off or told, "Hey,
F
F Texas."
Texas. Yeah.
I mean, more times in my life.
They
I mean,
looked
that
at
was
me
just a cool
funny. They're like,
experience, but
yeah, they looked at me funny, like, where are you with these guys?
that was
They
something else.
started to F me, and then they were like, oh, nice. I see your shirt. That's a good shirt. And why
Yeah,
are you with these guys?
it was
So
something
yeah, I'll be
else.
down there in Jerry World to watch. Hopefully, just a slaughter.
Yeah, that would be
The
nice. Need the Eagles to
last one I
drop
went
one.
to was Washington last year. We slaughtered them.
Yeah,
One before that was Atlanta. Slaughtered them. So
Jimmy's got a good record.
hopefully,
Hopefully so.
hopefully,
We need the Eagles to drop one. If they could somehow drop one and then we beat them, we get that number one overall seed.
if
Uh,
they could drop one to New York this week,
it'd be great. I keep talking
I'd be
about
grateful.
how they got a chance to get beat by the Packers and Titans. Well, they won both those convincingly.
Yeah,
And now they got the
Packers are really
Giants.
close, but God, the Titans, I did not see that coming.
Me neither. Gosh, real disappointed
Derrick
in the
Henry, 30
Titans.
yards. That's
I know. Really
Philly.
disappointed me.
They concern me.
They got so they're at the Giants. The Eagles are at the Giants, then at the Bears, then at the Cowboys. I mean, we need them to drop. I don't think they're losing to the Bears. So if the
No,
Giants could somehow slip up and beat them, that'd be great.
I wish the Giants would. I need the Giants to play really good one game, and this be
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it'd be nice. So anyway, Cowboys are they got a chance to be the 1 seed. They need some help, but more than likely they're going to be the 5 seed, probably playing Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay is
Tampa Bay, or we're going to have to go play Brock Purdy.
or Brock for the 9, and now that Garoppolo's out, they could slide back, but I don't know. I don't want to play. The Buccaneers stink this year, but I don't want to play Tom Brady in the
Yeah,
playoffs at home.
I'd rather not play Brady. I'd rather play Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I'll play,
Even though the Niners had the number one defense and
yeah.
shut us down last year. Either
I
way.
just think quarterback play, as we know as Cowboys fans, defense, you know, Defense can only do so much, can only hold you out there for a little while, and your offense got to be able to put points up. So if Purdy comes out and isn't, NFL ready, I would like our
Hope
chances.
so. I got that in picks. Kind of banking on that this week as the Niners host the Buccaneers. So we'll see how it goes with that. Cowboys 5 games left. Need to finish strong. Setting at 9-3 right now. Moving to college football. College football playoff, Final Four. What are your thoughts? We got number 1 Georgia playing number 4 Ohio State, number 2 Michigan playing number 3 TCU. Did the committee get it right in your eyes?
I think they got it right. And I think Sonny Dykes, terrible. Little Lincoln, whoever called it, I don't even care who called it, Little Lincoln, I guess. That terrible series of play calls
Yeah.
down there didn't cost them. And they're lucky. They're lucky it didn't cost them to drop down a spot and then have to go run through a buzzsaw called Georgia. Instead, they're going to get to run through the buzzsaw called Michigan. But
Yeah.
I think they got it right. I like all 4 teams. I honestly was worried. They had never put a 2-loss team in, but I said, the committee didn't really give TCU any hype. You and I talked about there was a stretch, was it 4 or 5 teams in a row that were ranked they beat? We thought they should have been
TCU at
hyped.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, we thought they should have been hyped earlier. Committee didn't give them hype till late.
No.
I was worried
Disrespect.
that one loss, we've said all year they've got to win out. I was worried that would affect them. I was worried they'd get Bama in. And like we said, I know they've never put a 2-loss team in. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if they were ever going to put a 2-loss team in the playoffs, it'd be Alabama. So
Yeah.
I was pretty nervous that somehow, like we said, before they jumped, Ohio State went from 6-4. I'm sitting here going, it can happen, but I think they got it right. Um, I like the matchups.
Yeah. I was a little worried when they had Nick Saban on. Even Fox had Nick Saban on.
Yeah,
And Fox has the Big Ten, which Ohio State's trying to get in, and they also have Big 12 TCU trying to get in. And Fox had Nick Saban on at halftime of the Big Ten championship game
yeah,
campaigning. All the ESPN networks, like Clemson, he was on at halftime, Clemson, North Carolina. So I'm like, they're letting Nick Saban go on all these networks and campaign because they know the committee's watching these games. And I kind of think maybe they backfired on him. They probably like he looked like a snake oil used car salesman.
salesman. Yeah.
I mean, trying to just beg and cry for his 2 loss
Hmm.
team to get in. That
Look at
team didn't
how
deserve it. Don't lose twice. You know?
that's what I said. I was like, I'm really glad. Like I said, repeat. I think they got it right. I was
Yeah.
really. It would not have surprised me whatsoever. People would have been, I can't believe that, and I would have been like, really? I mean, it was easy to see coming. So I'm really glad that they
Yeah.
not hating on Alabama. I'm just glad. I think these are the four. I think these are 4 of the best teams in college football, and right now at this point, so I think they're the 4 best teams.
I
You
do
can look
too.
at their record. You can look at whatever you want to look at. I think they got it right. I'm
I
excited.
mean, I
I'm
think they did
excited for these
too.
playoffs.
But that's not, and I'm excited for the 12-team playoff. So we got this year and next year for the 4 team,
Mm-hmm.
and then 24 is the 12 team. I think that's the 12 teams better because you are starting to see a lot more parity in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think 2 teams that aren't in it that I think could maybe beat everybody. Besides, I mean, Georgia and Michigan, I think are probably the 2 best teams. Have
Mm-hmm.
been the 2 best teams. But I mean, Alabama and Utah. I've been big on Utah all year.
Oh, yeah.
Utah Friday night against USC, they look like they could have played with anybody in the country. Alabama, when Bryce Young and Will Anderson, all those guys are on their top of their game, we know we've seen it. They can be with anybody. So, you know, yeah, 12-team playoffs can be pretty fun, especially when there's some good, solid quality teams. Like I would be love to see Tulane this year compete in the 12-team playoff. I mean, 'cause
I
Tulane
was
has been
literally about to say
solid.
Tulane.
Tulane beat
Yeah.
the Big 12 champ Kansas State by a touchdown at Kansas
Yeah.
State's place. Tulane
Yeah.
is for real. I would love the 12-team playoff this year. I would have loved it. I still think it probably shakes out Georgia, Michigan. So I mean,
Sure.
this is one of those years the BCS would have been just fine. Georgia, Michigan are the two
Mm-hmm.
top teams, but a
Yeah,
12-team
and I
playoff this
think
year would be awesome.
yeah, and I was about to say Tulane because I think Tulane is a team that you would not want to play.
No,
You would not want to have to, if you're any of those top 4 guys, especially a TCU, Ohio State, You would not want to play Tulane. It would be one of those games we talk about where you have to go in, step on the gas early, and not let up the entire game. Um, I like Tulane. I don't know if they could win it in a 12-team playoff, but I know whoever drew that card would be
Here's
sweating.
also interesting, Jimmy. Tulane would actually be the 4 seed and get a bye because it's the top four ranked
Mm-hmm.
conference
Get
champs.
get a bye.
And Tulane, I think, is ranked higher than either Utah, maybe Utah. Are they ranked higher in Utah? I think they're ranked higher in Utah. They're ranked higher in one of the Power Five, or two of the Power Five conferences champs. Maybe they're ranked higher in Utah, Clemson, or Kansas State. So anyway, Tulane would be the 4 seed. How
Mm.
awesome would that be?
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
They would be. They'd
I'd
get a bye and get the hope. You know. So
I'd
um,
love to see it.
yeah, I can't wait for that. That's happening in 2 years. We want to talk transfer portal. This thing is nuts. Over six. Last I checked earlier today, over 1,600 players
Mm.
have entered the portal. It opened Monday the 5th. Of course, if you're a grad transfer or if your coach leaves or was fired, you can enter earlier. Other than that, you could
Mm-hmm.
have entered the 5th, which was Monday. There's been 1,600, a record 66 starting quarterbacks, or the 66 quarterbacks who started a game this year entered the transfer portal. There's only
Yeah,
120 uh, Division One teams, and so over half entered the portal. Over half starting quarterback entered the portal. Where are they all going?
I, and that's another thing is why it. Uh,
Like
I don't know
JT
all the other.
Daniels. Where's JT Daniels go? He
Where's
entered.
ukulele go?
Where does
JT
ukulele go?
Daniels.
I mean,
Like
they got
I
to
don't
go.
know
You got to go down Group 5. Like Fresno State would be a prime
for JT
for
Daniels.
JT Daniels
Yeah,
because their quarterback is going to get drafted, and it's a Group of 5. Like ukulele, JT, those guys got to go Group of 5.
yeah. I don't know where ukulele may go to like UCF or somewhere like that, but I'm going. You're not going to.
You know where
You're
he
going to go
goes? Ah, I know exactly where he goes. You just said
Hawaii.
UCF. No, he goes to Tom Herman. Just got the job, Florida Atlantic. Tom Herman loves to run the
Mm.
quarterback, Sam Ellinger style. I could see him fitting at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah,
Tom Herman.
yeah. But you're right, Trey. Like, and this is where, and again, I can only speak. Sam Pittman at Arkansas says, "You put your name in, that's fine. I'll let you put your name in, take your name out, but you got to keep practicing." I think this is going to lead to the coach is going to have some kind of leniency. You can't get butt hurt. Some of these coaches are going, well, once you put your name in, you're done. You
Yeah.
can't come back. And I'm like, well, okay, that's whatever. Um, Pittman's philosophy is as long as you keep practicing, you can
Nah,
have your
see,
name in the portal.
Sark is the one you just said. Sark, once you
Hmm.
put it in, that's it.
And
If you want to keep
that's
practicing all that, you can't
yeah,
put it in.
take your
You got to
name
at
out.
least fake
There's
it.
something to that, It's like Bielema wasn't big on if once you committed, he didn't want you to take your visits.
That's a
Uh,
bad philosophy, and you're seeing
that's how
like
we lost KJ Hill
Brent Venables is
to
that way at
Ohio State.
Oklahoma, and he's lost 3 recruits in the like
Yeah,
big. You got to let these guys flirt a little bit. They don't have to.
yeah.
There's a designated date where they can stop. Like as long as
Hmm.
they sign on that one day, who cares if they dated somebody else last week? It's all
Yeah.
about because once they do that one day, they're yours for at least the next year.
Hmm.
You got to let
And
those
I
big
just
time dudes do their thing.
right, they got to be courted,
Got to be
and
courted and let them do
feel
that.
all the love. And but I think coaches are going to have some sort of leniency on that because, like you said, you'll lose these guys. These guys want to test the water, but then there's guys that you just you're kind of like Prime told them. I hope you catch the portal. You just
Yeah.
free up more spots. Like
What do you say?
there's
I'm
guy
bringing
like
my
you.
own luggage, and it's Louis Vuitton
It's
luggage,
Louis.
baby. It's Louis,
These
baby.
spots I got them. Don't worry. And I'm like, guys like at Arkansas, like Malik Hornsby. I would love that guy on the team, but he wants to play quarterback, and you'd think there's room for 4.2 speed on the field. Turns out I guess there's not. Okay, I wish
Yeah.
that guy will. But then you lose a receiver. We lost a receiver that I'd like to have. So I said it the other day. I was like, the transfer portal's great when it benefits your team. When your team like this last year, Drew
Oh, Drew
Sanders,
Sanders, what a pickup.
McLovin, Landon Jackson. Yeah, Drew. I mean,
Yeah.
Drew Sanders, that unreal, and Guys one and done basically at Arkansas, but I'm like, perfect. He came in, wrecked shop,
Yeah.
and guess that's what it's for. But then the transfer portal is terrible when it just decimates your team, like A&M. And I know we kind of harp on A&M a lot. They kind of bring it on themselves a lot too. But like you knew there was going to be a mass exodus, and they're one of three teams. What Virginia Tech,
Well,
Alabama,
I
A&M
think
have lost
they've had
over
some more, and
10.
I think that A&M since that graphic came out, they've had some
Yeah,
more enter.
and I'm like,
I heard is A&M up to like 16 players. Now, of
something like
course,
that.
some of those might be walk-ons or guys that were kicked off the
Yeah,
team.
and they're not all starters and everything. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, this transfer portal stuff's nuts, man. It's free agency. It's
it is
already
not. It
year
is free
round
agency
recruiting.
because some of the big-time kids, all they do is put their name in the portal, and if the coach doesn't have a like a we'll take you back kind of situation, if they allow that,
Hmm.
they put their name in the portal just to get more NIL deals. Like, oh well,
Yeah,
if you want me to stay, then you need to give me more NIL money, which is just nuts. I mean, it's free agency. And that is wild. And I think that's why some people are like, nope, we're not playing that game. If you want to stay, we'll make it work where you can stay. But if you
hmm.
already are thinking about leaving, get out. Let's get guys who want to be. And it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy stat. 40% of the last 2 years, 40% of the people who entered the portal did not find a place to go. Think
Yeah.
about that.
And then what? And then what happens?
If the team won't take you back and you can't find another place to go, you're just going to school. Like that's a risk you play when you're entering the portal. It's wild. I think, of course, this is only the third year of it, so I think we're kind of. And this is so far the most per day have entered. We'll see how it goes, but I think
There,
eventually, I think it'll slow down a little bit in a couple years because I think once players realize, yo, like maybe the grass isn't greener, like the young guys, the older guys that hey, I've already graduated, I've been passed over,
mhm.
I've been over recruited. They kind of know their place in the college football world. Like, I'm not a Power Five guy. I could
Right.
go start, at a good group of five. That's where I'm headed. I'm gonna go
Hmm.
start. I think when you're in high school, everybody, I got to get that Power Five offer. I got to get that D1. So I think in the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing these guys who have just been on campus for a semester and leave. I think that's going to stop.
I would hope because it almost feels like it's ruining college football. But then I'm afraid it's going to be the inverse. Like we've already talked about, it used to be Nick Saban, Bobby Bowden, Coach K in basketball. These guys walk into your living room, they have all the power.
Yeah.
Starting to flip to where the players have all the power.
Yeah.
And the more of these big time guys, um, I don't think he's going to go anywhere and shove like ukulele. The more of those guys, he's like, I'm really surprised he's
But that's
leaving.
the prime example. I
Like,
mean, he got recruited over. He's not going to start next year for
no,
Clemson.
and that's,
I mean,
but
he's going to have to go.
the more
So,
big name guys I think you see leave and actually do go have success, it's going to be, I'm afraid it's going to literally turn into a free agency, just like what you said. I'm going to put my name in and you're going to have to go back on your
I mean,
word. Yeah, you
it's
talk
there.
tough for the boosters,
It's already
but
there a
the
lot of places.
boosters,
Like I think
yeah,
that's what's going on in Alabama. A lot of kids from Alabama. I mean, a lot. Some of them that have entered, they just got recruited over. But then some of those receivers that left, it's basically
yeah.
like, you know, who's going to be the quarterback here at Alabama next year? I'm going to go play with so and so,
Hmm.
or give me a lot of money and show me who's quarterback, and then I'll stay. So,
Right. And that's where it's
wow.
like, it's not Nick Saban. It's starting to, it's always Nick Saban's team, but it's starting to get to where it's these kids are everywhere. Every school are having a lot more power, uh, which is fine. They're the ones out there playing, but
Yeah.
it's going to change the landscape more so than it already has. Be exciting to see either way. Be exciting to see. Like I said, transfer portal's great if your team benefits from it. Transfer portal's terrible if your team, you know, if you're well, A&M, Arkansas, if you're a team where you're like, man, we finally got some dudes. Oh, they all leave in the portal. Oh,
It's
okay.
tough.
Well,
I mean, you gotta
that stinks.
you
If you're
gotta
not a
basically,
destination school,
yeah,
then
you gotta
the portal
roster
probably stinks.
management became a
Yeah.
365 day a year job at the college level. I think you're gonna see at the big time, the big boys, the top 25 programs,
Hmm.
you're gonna start seeing like a GM role, whereas like the head coach always going to be in charge of personnel,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to have a GM who's on top of players across the country. That's just, I mean, they already have like scouting departments and stuff, but
Yeah.
there's going to be like a GM role where even though the head coach will always have final say on personnel and who gets
Mm-hmm.
offered and who we sign, but the GM is going to be the guy that knows everything about these kids and basically just going to be scouting kids, even if they're on playing for so and so. Doesn't matter. He could enter the portal next year, and I think you're gonna start seeing the big boys have a GM role, like a support staff, but they're gonna be like a GM.
I could see that. I mean, it's very beneficial. You've got guys like, there's a lot of receivers in the portal that
Ton,
are big time receivers at
yes.
programs like other
Quarterback
teams,
and
number
receiver have
ones.
been
Yeah,
quarterback receiver have been the most impactful as far as big name guy. Like there's so many 66 quarterbacks started a game this year.
that's
Like some of them
crazy.
you can say, well, he wasn't really the starter. Like I guess Hayes King, obviously he's not going to start, but he started. I think he had the most starts this year for A&M. You take Luke
Yeah.
Ugalele. He's not going to be the starter for Clemson, but he started
Hmm.
13 games. So like,
Yeah. Two
I mean,
years basically. And then,
66 starting quarterbacks.
yeah, that's
It's crazy.
wild. And then we touched on it. How about Coach Prime?
Yeah, I was just about to say, you talked about Coach Prime, and when I talk NIL, I always thought if Coach Prime, they had NIL back in Dion's day, what would he be like? How do you think he's going to do at Colorado? I mean, that if Google or look at Twitter, the speech he basically gave, like y'all,
Love
basically
it.
the gist was y'all went 1-11. Y'all need to hit the portal, like find somewhere else to go because I'm bringing my own luggage and it's Louis, baby. Like
I
basically, and
think
I've heard now this could I don't know if this is true or not because you can only have
mhm.
85 scholarship players, but I've heard 200 people in the portal have reached out to Dion, Colorado, and Dion.
I believe they have. He's a players coach. I think
I
that's
mean,
why players,
I think he's
you
going to
know,
do well at Colorado because he's
you
going to get
hear you
players
hear
and
this.
he's a good dude.
Yeah. You hear the term thrown around, players coach, and players want to play for the players coach, and it's always like you know, that's one of the big dividers when you got guys. It's people are like, well, wins, and it's like, well, he's building the program the way he wants, and blah blah blah. People really get divided on these players coaches. I think that's exactly what Dion is. He's a players coach. You hear the stories about Jackson State. He's using his own money for facilities. He's using his own money to treat the players. And I'm sitting here
Yeah,
going, that's a whole other financial
it's really tough. I
debacle down
think
there.
people that are
But
giving him crap for leaving, saying he wasn't true to the HBCUs and all. Look at what he did for Jackson State in 2 years.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And like you said, he
how many
spent a
people
lot
do
of
you
his
think
own
bought
money.
Jackson State swag that
I
didn't
mean,
even go, couldn't even have told you where Jackson State was or that it existed
and
before
what I've
Dion?
heard, it's not. Yeah, he wants to prove himself as a coach and all that, but a
Mm-hmm.
lot of it is his assistants. Like he's going to take them with him. I mean, this is a chance for them for their payday. Dion
Yeah.
probably doesn't need the payday. I mean, obviously, you want to be compensated for your fair value
Mm-hmm.
with the work you're doing, but at the same time, he's been there, done that. He's had the opportunity to make a lot of money in his career. But these assistants of his, they did a great job at Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Were they undefeated this year? Only lost 2 last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is their opportunity in the business to get a payday. Like, I mean, big time
And
assistants make over 6 figures.
yeah, and go look into, we don't have time to get into it because it is a deep hole. Google, you got some free time laying in bed, on the commode, whatever. Google the financial situation at Jackson State that's being uncovered where Dion's having
Yeah,
to use his own money. He's not getting reimbursed. The school said they were going to pay for stuff and they didn't. He was offered money to come back, but it was going to have to pay but no money for his assistants. It was just it's wild.
yeah,
But back to our original question, I think he's going to do good at Colorado.
yeah.
I
I do
think
too.
you'll be able to see just how impactful NIL is. Colorado's not a destination school, right? We always talk about you could pluck in Nick Saban's prime, you could pluck Nick Saban up, send him back to Toledo, Michigan State, wherever, Kent State, excuse me, not Toledo. You could send him back there, and within a few years, given proper resources, he could turn him into a contender. We're going to see if that theory is true with Prime and Colorado. If I hope it's a joke, that video of the president or chancellor or whatever being like, I mean, we don't have the money yet, but we're good for it. We know a guy. I
Yeah.
hope that's a joke.
Yeah, we believe it'll come
Um,
through. It'll come through.
if Colorado will financially
I don't think it is a
get,
joke. I think it's the truth.
I hope it's a joke because I'm sitting here going, guys, y'all are idiots. Y'all are morons for doing this because Prime's not going to be quiet. Dion's not going to be quiet about you promising him money and ripping him off, nor should he be. So I really hope it's fake. I hope Colorado has the money and pays him because, like I said, we're going to test this theory. If you may have the perfect, you know how Belichick Brady's the perfect pair, and you got Saban at Alabama, whatever is the perfect pairing and this and that and the SEC. You may have the perfect coach given resources and NIL. You may have the perfect coach in Deion Sanders to coach this new era of
Yeah,
college football we're
I think you
headlong
do
into.
because I mean, if you ever listen to Dion talk, I mean, he's a man of faith and values, and he's like, I mean, I think would be great as a head coach at a place with great resources because he has. I mean, to me, he's like the definition of swagger in the right way. As far as,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the swagger, but he's about values. He's about winning, and the dude, like, I think he could be really good as a head coach, especially as like a CEO role that, like, I think he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not going to call the plays. I mean, he's going to be in charge of getting you right between the ears
Mm-hmm.
and making sure you put forth the best effort. Like, I think I think he's going to do good at Colorado. I pretty much guarantee they're going to be better than 1-11.
Yeah, he said there
I
can be
think they
no
make a
more this.
bowl. I mean, I don't
I
even
think
know
so.
who
That
their
may be a
players are going to
great
be. I know he's going to bring his
regular
son at
season.
quarterback, who just gets better every year. Like, he's a solid player. Um, so
That may be a great preseason bet there.
I would have
Colorado wins.
faith. I would have faith that they make a bowl. Yeah. Well, I got it starred. What's Colorado's season one total going to be? Of course, that
Yeah,
might be a hot ticket for everybody, but
right.
if it's 5 or 6, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I am too. Give me 5.5. Please give me
Yeah,
five and a
give me
half,
five and
man.
a
Just
half. I will
give me
take that.
Utah or give me Colorado over under 5.5, and I'm taking 5.5 all day
Yeah,
because I believe in him. It's going to be awesome to see. I'm glad he did it.
me too.
Like,
I like
he had
Dion.
done
Always
about all he
have.
could do. Now he's going to Colorado, see what else he can do. It
I
may
tell
not
you what.
work, but
My Florida State, they had a great year this year. Florida, first year head coach, LSU, Brian Kelly. Those kind of schools, Ole Miss, those kind of
mm-hmm.
schools, Lane Kiffin, like, you better keep going if you want to keep your job because imagine Dion, if Dion improves Colorado, imagine Dion in an SEC powerhouse.
Again, yeah. He goes to one of those schools that has great boosters,
Miami.
the communities all around the school combined with NIL, combined with, I mean, he's a player's coach. He loves the kids and he's got the skins on the wall to prove it. He's not just a guy who's like, look, man, I'm an X's and O's guy. I know that I couldn't physically do it, but it's up here. I don't know. I mean, some players can identify with that, but you hear a lot of them just can't. Dion's out there going, look, man, you know what I can do. I don't got to tell you who I am. You can listen to me or not, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you wrong.
I was a little
So,
surprised he chose to go to Colorado, but Colorado might have been the only Power Five offer he got. And people might have been. I mean, there's a little buzz between him and Auburn, but I think Auburn was always going to be Lane Kiffin or Hugh Freeze. But
yeah.
I think that was the best Power 5 offer he got. I will not be surprised 2, 3, 4 years. Dion's the talk of the town for all the hot jobs. You know,
You know what? I could see it. And he loves him.
yeah,
And so,
so we'll
you know
see.
what? I'm excited. He used to live just down the road from us, and
Yeah,
Prosper.
when we'd go
So that's,
broadcast games on radio, we'd drive by his house
yeah,
all the time there on
right by his
289.
house. That was cool. But
Yeah,
yeah, good luck to him. Soul Buffs.
go Buffs! I'll tell you what. I'll watch way more Colorado Buffalo games next year than I did
Yeah,
this year.
I guarantee you you'll have a chance to. I bet they're on TV a lot more now.
Yeah, yeah. Heisman this week. Heisman. We got Stetson Bennett. It's a quarterback award again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Stetson Bennett, Caleb Williams, Max Duggan. I'm forgetting some. Oh, C.J. Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
So Stroud, Duggan, Williams, Bennett. Uh, I mean, who do you think? I think it was probably going to be Caleb Williams, but I think Max Duggan might have won it this past weekend. And with the little fingernail stunt that Caleb Williams did, um,
Yeah,
I
that
could
dude's
see
a
Duggan
moron.
winning some votes because of that and his performance. I'm going to say dark horse Max Duggan takes it home.
I think it's between Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan. I think it was Caleb Williams' award. I think it started out C.J. Stroud's award. Then it became Bryce
Yeah.
Young's at a certain point in the season. Then Caleb Williams kind of came up. Now I think it's after that Utah, and I agree. The fingernail stunt, dude, just go out and play football. You're
Yeah.
going to turn a lot of people off with that crap, and karma,
Yeah.
karma ran you
Karma.
smooth over.
Karma.
That's what you get. So I
I will
think
say
he's out now.
the one player I think that really got snubbed, disrespected was Hendon Hooker, quarterback for Tennessee.
Dude.
Until he got hurt, I think he was the favorite. I mean, he should have won the Heisman. And he gets hurt. I understand if you're not going to give it to him because he did
Mm-hmm.
miss what 3-4 games,
Mm-hmm.
but he should have been invited. I mean, he should be a top 4, top 5. I
Yeah.
mean, that dude had the season. He was a top quarterback in the country,
Yeah.
and he
And
got hurt.
phenomenal. And he is an older guy, but that doesn't matter. You know what
Used
I
to be
mean?
you
Like,
had to be 27 plus to win it. Chris Winkie,
exactly. Yeah. No joke.
Eric Krause, those
And
guys.
but yeah, I think it's Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan. I think those are the two horse race.
All right, so that's Heisman Trophy. What do you think about it being only quarterback award? 4 quarterbacks this year. I mean, the top running backs you could have had Bijan Robinson, but 8-4 team. Blake
Mm-hmm.
Corum from Michigan, but he got hurt.
Got hurt.
I don't know. Some say it's lost its luster because it's just become a quarterback award.
And it look at the NFL. The NFL is quarterback driven league. I think college football's morphing to that too. You have these dynamic quarterbacks, and some of the most dynamic players in college football just happen to be the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I can remember when it was running backs. Not necessarily it was all running backs, but a good portion.
Yeah, you're right. It used to just be running backs. Back
And
in,
so
we had Ricky Williams, Ron Dane, late
mhm.
80s, early 2000s.
Colorado, Rashawn Salam, 94.
Yeah.
So I'm like, running backs have had their time to shine. Uh, but I just think it just happens to be that you got to have one of these dynamic quarterbacks to get into the playoffs. Look at the teams in the playoffs other than McCarthy. I think they all have pretty dynamic quarterbacks. So, in their own individual way.
And I think
Um,
McCarthy showed against Ohio State he can be explosive. He can be
yeah,
dynamic.
I mean,
I
he's
think they just
good.
kind of sheltered him a little bit all year.
What the
Uh,
run game helps him
I mean,
kind of
that's what
tone
they
him
want to do:
down.
run the ball, play action, take
Mhm.
deep shots. We'll talk more about bowl matchups next week's show. We'll get into some of the bowl. We'll kind of take them one week at a time. But there's some great bowl games. If everybody plays that's supposed to play, and the teams actually prepare, I mean that's so tough. I can't stress enough for you sports better college football bettors out there. You have to be so careful when you bet bowl games
Do not
because
bet it early. I don't care how good the line
do
looks.
not bet it early,
Oh,
and it almost doesn't matter what they show during the regular season. The only teams that
mm,
matters for the regular season are the four playoff,
right.
those two semifinal games, because that stuff's going to carry over. The rest of them, I mean, they're going to be playing new players. Like you take Texas for instance, their top 2 running backs, it hadn't been announced, but they're probably not playing. And you
Yeah.
have to,
Why
and I
would
know
they?
this because I'm a Texas fan, so I follow him.
Yeah.
Sarkisian has basically said we have got to improve the passing game, and his comments were basically like, "We're going to take these 15 practices and we're going to find out if Quinn Ewers can throw the ball like he did against Oklahoma and Alabama." So to me, that says they're not going to run the football as much as they did during the season,
Hmm.
especially when they're in a crunch with Bijan Robinson. They're going to put the ball in the hands of Quinn Ewers. So there's stuff like that. Like if you're not following the team, you wouldn't know that. So just betting bowl games is tough.
And you can Google. There's all sorts of resources. There's different stuff. Google it. I don't care how good the line looks. I'm not going to bet anything until the day of, and then I'm going to go through and look and see who's playing and who's not. I
Exactly.
mean, because like you said, those top four teams, Jackson Smith and Jigba is hurt. So yeah, he announced he's the only one that I've seen so far in those top four that
Yeah, he's
isn't
like the
playing.
first one ever that's
Yeah.
questionable. That's actually, but he might actually still be hurt. But he's actually
Yeah. And
said now.
so yeah, these other teams, you can go, oh man, there's no way Tennessee only wins by 3 against Central
Exactly.
Michigan. I'm
Like if
just
you look at
throwing
some of the
teams out there.
lines, and if this was
Yeah.
just another week during the regular season, you'd be like, what?
Yeah,
But
it's over. You're like, oh,
you
I'm
have to
about to
factor
just
that
clean
stuff in.
house. Oh, it turns out the quarterback, running back, 2 of the linemen, most of the
Yeah.
secondary, and the next thing you know is this other team comes out of nowhere and covers. So,
And
yeah.
stuff like you look like, yeah, they have a great middle linebacker, they have a great linebacking core, but they're all their backups are in the portal. So you have to
Hmm.
think about that. Like only guys behind them are walk-ons or offensive linemen. They only have 5 scholarship offensive linemen because all their linemen enter the portal. One goes
Yeah.
down. Like there's so much you have to factor in when you're betting bowl games. It's so
And a
tough.
lot of these teams, these off teams, what you would call them off teams, those guys don't leave. Those guys may not be good enough
That's
to
what I'm
go anywhere
saying.
else.
Like
So
some
they're
of the
set
best games,
one unit.
like one of the games I'm looking forward to the most is actually the first day of bowl games, Friday the 16th. It's Troy UTSA. Everybody from Troy's playing. Everybody from UTSA is playing. They're both really
Yeah.
good. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah. I agree. So I looked at that game and I'm sitting here going, I think this could be one of the best bowl games of the
I
season
agree.
for exactly
I
what you
agree.
said. There, I haven't heard of either team. Like Troy was pretty good all season.
Heck
We know
yeah.
what UTSA was, and I'm sitting here going, yeah. If neither of these two teams leave, this could be a great,
And
like
not
I say,
only
one of the
that,
best bowl games of the
both
season.
teams. I think both teams went 11-2, I believe,
Hmm.
and both teams are playing their. If you watch their games towards the end in November, they're playing their best football. The last 4 games, 4 or 5 games, playing their best football. Both of them cruised in the conference championship over Troy over Coastal Carolina, UTSA over North
Hmm.
Texas. So we'll talk more about the bowls next week. I do want to point this out. You got to join us for the Capital One Bowl Mania on ESPN.com. I just created a league today. The league's name is Gridiron Grind. I'll have it in the description of the YouTube there in the description. You just go to ESPN.com. You click on like fantasy, Capital One, Bowl Mania. You have to create an account if you don't have an ESPN account. It's free. They just send you emails and stuff. And then you'll search Gridiron Grind. It's a open league to the public. It's a confidence points. So we'll do it. Have everybody listen to the show, get it in, and confidence points. So if you pick the winner of the game, but then you assign confidence points like 1 through 40, whatever points, how many bowl games there are. So if like you feel one game like Arkansas, Kansas, if you're like, well, Arkansas is going to beat Kansas, so I feel the most confident in that one. That one would be worth 40 something points. So if they win, you'd get 40 something points. The one you're least confident in, if you're like, I really feel TCU is going to beat Michigan, but I don't know how confident. Well, that'd be a 1 point. So you'd put TCU
Hmm.
1 point, and if they lose, you only lost 1 point. So anyway, it's ESPN.com. Go to Fantasy, Capital One, Bowl Mania, Gridiron Grind. It's the name of it. And you make your picks. You got to do it before Friday the 16th. So you have over a week to get signed up. We'll get all our listeners in there, and we'll talk about it on the show. Give a shout out to whoever wins that thing later in
Heck
January.
yeah.
So getting to picks for the show. Like we talked about, I was 5-0 last week. I'm 44-33 on the season. Jimmy winning week as well, 3-2. He's 40-38 on the season. We both have 5 plays this weekend. Gonna have to start diving more into some NFL. Probably won't have as many plays as we get into the
Mhm.
NFL and bowl games, but I did come up with 5 this week, and I'm gonna start with the Army Navy game. I'm gonna first. It's 2.5. Navy's favored 2.5. I don't think I agree with that. I think Army's the better team, more complete team. I would buy the half a point and get it to 3. I'm gonna take Army plus 3, but I also have a stat for the over under. I'm gonna pull it up here. Um, Jimmy, did you know the under in the Army Navy game is hit 16 years in a
16,
row?
16 and 0 on the old under.
16-0 on the
And
all
you'd have
under.
like I
So
mean, millions of dollars. Did you see that graphic?
yes, that's what I'm about to read. I'm actually about to read it. If you
This is
So it
beautiful.
started in 2006. It was over under 49. It went under, and it's hit 16 years in a row. If you bet $110 on the under in 2006 and rolled over your winnings every year since then, you'd currently be up $3.4 million.
Yeah.
That
So
is
so you
just
win a
staggering.
hundred. Say you won
16 years.
$300. Okay, then the next year you take that $300, put it on the under,
Yeah.
and then it keeps going back and forth, back and forth.
So then
Yeah, I
you won
saw that
600, then you take
graphic,
the
and
600, then
it was
1200. I
amazing.
mean,
I love it.
that's awesome. 16 years in a row. But this, Jimmy, the over under is 32 and a half. This is the lowest it's been in the 16 years.
They're
And
trying to
if
break
they
it.
said if you take the 16 years, you take the average points scored, the over on 32 and a half, the over would be 9 and 7. Here's
Mm.
my deal. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to break the streak, and I'm going to go over because 20 to 14 gets me home. So 20 to 14 gets me home. I can have 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals. You know, this thing has
Okay.
gone into overtime a few times and still went under. This is totals low. So it could go to overtime. I mean, I hope it does. I think we could get
Yeah.
it. I feel confident about the over 32 and a half. The over is going to hit at some point. This is as low as it's been in the 16-year streak. So give me Army +3, Army Navy over 32 and a half.
I'm going to take Army +3 again, and you might have just talked me into that over, but I liked Army +3. I think Army wins the game outright,
Yeah.
and it's a convincing argument for the over, but I may save that till my last pick. So I too went, like I said, Army +3. I'm going Rams, Raiders under 43 and a half. Rams, I don't know who's going to be their quarterback. They just get Baker Mayfield, but they are not the same Rams team that they were last year. And I just don't think they can score any points. So I think
Yeah, I
the
don't.
under
I'm with you.
43 and a half hits
I
Thursday
looked at
night
this one.
football.
That's Thursday night, right?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that. I think it's a great bet. That's what I would do if I had to. I don't have any over unders in NFL games. I got three sides for you. First, I'm gonna start with the Lions. The Lions hosting the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions have won 4 in a row, I believe, or 4 or 5 in a row. 4 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They're 5-6 on the season, won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
They're favored. The Vikings are 10-2,
Yeah.
and the Lions are favored at home. I mean, that just smells like what? I mean, if you just looked at that, you'd be like, what is Vegas thinking? I
Yeah.
know what they're thinking. The Vikings are frauds. The Cowboys proved that a couple weeks ago. Give me the Lions at home -2.5.
I like it. I'm gonna stick with the same game, but I'm going over 51 in that game. It's kind of a high over, but both of these teams are scoring in the mid to high 20s. And I think there's more of it going to happen again. Like you said, I love that Detroit bet. I did too. I thought, man, this smells funny. This does not look right, because if you took the team names away and just did the records, you're going, oh, there's no way. This team's
Yeah.
10-2 plus. Give me it all day. Wrong. You're right. I think Vegas knows something, and I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Give me Lions, Vikings over 51.
Giants hosting the Eagles. Man, we really need the Giants to upset the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles. I don't know if we're going to get that, but 7, the average score in the NFL this year, margin of victory is 4.5. So 7's a lot for a home team, and the Giants would be in the playoffs right now. So basically, you're talking about 2 playoff teams and a touchdown. If the road team's favored by a touchdown, that's just a little too much. Even though the Eagles have been hot, they're going to come down to earth at some point. Eagles probably find a way to win the game, but +7 is just too many. So give me the Giants +7.
I like that. I like that. My next one, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay +3.5. Uh, We talked about it. Garoppolo's done probably for the year, might be able to come back in the playoffs. They're about to start Brock Purdy. Who knows what kind of connection he's going to have with Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, these receivers. They do have the number one defense. Cowboys have had good defense, crappy offense. It's only so much you can do. Flip side, good offense, crappy defense, only so much you can do. I think Tom Brady right now is starting to turn it on. You saw him look like old Tom
Yep.
coming back there on the Saints, saying 16-3. I said, this is done. Next thing I know is boom, 17-3 or 17-16. Brady comes back and wins. Give me the Buccaneers plus 3.5 against the 49ers.
I'm right there with you. I got the Buccaneers plus 3.5. They're on the road, but two reasons. One, San Francisco's starting Brock Purdy. He was the last pick in the draft. And it's Brock Purdy. Me and you
Mm-hmm.
have talked at length about how we can't stand the credit Brock Purdy got.
Unreal.
Unreal. He was great against terrible teams, but
Yeah.
then he was below average against teams with winning records. So NFL, I mean, you're talking about Tom Brady going against Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
two playoff teams again, and you're going to get Tom Brady 3.5. You're going to give him 3.5 points. I know
Vegas.
Niners got the number one defense. Brady's coming in. He got the divorce behind him. I think he's 2-1 or 3-1 since the divorce.
Yeah.
That's behind him.
Got him a new girlfriend.
Does he really already have a new girlfriend?
Yeah. I'll say, yeah. Got him a new girlfriend. Tom's living large right
Good
now.
for Tom. Like he's got
Okay.
no rules. There's no rules, man.
He hits the ground running too, let me tell you. Tom doesn't miss a step.
I would
So
expect nothing less from Tom
plus
Brady.
3.5, give it to me.
Yeah, I'm right there. I want it. I mean, I think Tom Brady, this is typical Tom Brady. I mean, it's December. That's when he starts playing football. I mean, he's old. He's got to take care of his body. He doesn't really care till December.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think this is a perfect spot to back the Bucks plus 3.5.
You got another one? I got one more.
That's my 5. I got
Okay,
Lions,
I got
Giants, Buccaneers, Army, and then Army Navy over.
Army over. I got Bills and Jets over 44. Mike White has got the New York Jets believing, they're going to start calling him Broadway White, Broadway Mike here. He keeps performing like he has been. I think both these teams get in the 20s easily, and I think Bills and Jets go over 44. Both teams are playing pretty well right now. The Jets believe again. I mean, Sauce
Yeah, they
Garner's
do.
pretty good. I mean, Garner's good. Wilson's good.
Jets are in
So
the playoffs as of right now, aren't they? I
yeah,
think they're a playoff
I
team.
think so. Garrett Wilson, not Zach Wilson. That's a big difference there when I said Wilson's good. So
Yeah,
yeah, give me Bills and Jets over 44. And
like it.
I'm gonna probably end up taking that Army over. I like that. I like that.
You want me to mark it down? Is it
Yeah,
official
give me
pick?
6. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 6. Why not?
You know what's
I'll
better than
take it.
going 5-0?
6-0.
Going 6-0, Jimmy.
Give it to me. Give it
All
to
right.
me.
Jimmy also down for Army Navy over.
You talked me into that over. I thought, man, I don't know. And then I was like, that's listening to
I
you
mean, here's the
talk.
deal. You go to Vegas or Harrah's in New Orleans, anywhere, and you spin that roulette table, and it's gonna hit black. It's eventually gonna hit red.
Yeah,
That's how I view. Eventually, it's got to hit red. It might even hit a green a couple times, but it's going to hit
eventually.
red.
Yep.
And Army Navy, I mean, they keep lowering it. They keep begging you to, And
Well,
most
let's hit
bet
it.
it's Kano. It started out at 33.5. Most of the bats, most of the money's on the under because everybody wants to streak.
Mm,
Everybody wants to streak to keep going.
yeah, everyone's
Why
streak to
not?
keep going.
Let's do a
Not going to
quick.
happen.
Oh, hang on a second. We need to do a quick weather forecast just to make sure. Games
Yeah,
played
don't
in Phil.
make sure we don't get ahead of ourselves
Games played in
here.
Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, 42 and sunny.
42, sunny, no chance. Well, I shouldn't say no
No,
chance, but very low chance of any kind of winter weather messing with this. It's going to be 42 at kickoff, and
I love this game too, being the only game
I
played.
love it. I
I
want
think it's
this
a
to
really cool tradition.
never change, never
Hmm.
change.
Right.
I mean,
I
this
got a
is
buddy, Jerry. His dad went to West Point, so
really,
Uh, I was taking Army this week, regardless. So
yeah,
I'm all in on Army and on the over.
one of the best bets I ever had was 2016. Navy had won like 9 in a row,
Oh,
10 in a row.
yep.
Matt, I'm in Weatherford, Texas. Me and a bunch of people from Sherman going to a wedding for a girl we went to high school with, and they're getting married out in Weatherford somewhere, and we all drive to Fort Worth. I thought it was a Hooters, but it might not have been a Hooters. I don't know. It was a bar. And a bunch of us were
It's a
there.
French wing place. Who tears?
Yeah, probably. Anyway, and we're all sitting there. The game's about to start, and I'm like, I'm taking Army. And they're like, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. Navy, 9 years in a row, this and that. And I'm like, 7.5 or something like that. Give me Army. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to double down. Everybody's telling me how stupid I was. I'm taking a money line, too. I'm putting a little bit on the money line. Army broke the streak, and I think they've won every one since, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I
So,
hit that same one. Not as great of a story. I was in the wife and I weren't married yet. We were just dating and we were living in a townhome. And I thought, yeah, why not? They kept flashing that graphic, and I just like
yeah.
you said, it's going to hit red eventually. I said, Army's got to win eventually. Why not?
And
I just
Army
threw
was
50
sneaky
on.
good that year.
I just threw 50 on the money line. I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, they were sneaky good that year.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's kind of the same philosophy here. It's got to get the over
hmm
eventually. And I could even see it being one of those games where they might even score 40 or 50 points.
yeah, and it's just perfect.
I
Just
mean, it could
love
be
it.
over at halftime. You tell me
Rocking chair.
it can't be 2014 at halftime in this game?
Yeah,
You
easily.
can't tell me Army has 2 possessions in the first half and both of them are touchdowns? Come on.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Gonna hit red.
It's going to hit red eventually. So I like it. I like it. All right. That's it. We'll deep dive bowl games next week. Hopefully, Cowboys, not much to talk about. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, the Giants win. That'd be cool. Because we go
I'd
from
love
we
a
go from
Giants win.
hosting the Texans to at the Jaguars. Uh, so
And
really,
Trevor Lawrence got some health issues coming up now, minor,
yeah.
but still, nothing
But
like teams get injured
this
right before you play them.
hopefully this is counting the Colts last week. Then you got Texans, Jaguars. It should be 3 weeks in a row. Hopefully, there's not a lot to talk about. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Hopefully so. You never know in the National Football League. It's a week-to-week league. But anyway, thanks for joining us on another episode of the Gridiron Grind. We will be with you again next week talking deep dive into bowls. Make sure you sign up for the Gridiron Grind Capital One Bowl Mania on ESPN.com. I'll put the description and the link down in the description of YouTube. Until next week, we'll see you, Jimmy.
See you, buddy.